Y'all know what this is. Y'all know who this is. This is a little late night snack. Not going to be on very long. Um, Needless to say, people just get on my nerves. People that just randomly, and I know it's midterms. It's a midterm election coming up real soon in March. The biggest one is in November, but the prejudiceness is surreal. I heard some white woman. I'll start it with this. First of all, welcome to the We-On-Loc Nation channel. Um, this prejudice has got to stop. I've been hearing multiple things, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to quit YouTube in the first place. But there have been some people, yeah, I've already told you about in the past, that have convinced me to go further and beyond. And I listen to their reasons, and I go, you know what, you're right. I'll try it. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you talk about, what you do, when it comes to specifically black women. It doesn't matter what topic it is. It could be, we could be talking about relationships. We can be talking about marriage. We can be talking about communities. We can be talking about war. We can be talking about multiple things. But at the end of the day, it ends up somehow blaming a black woman. And I'm like, why? Why? Jasmine Crockett, she's not even in power. She's not even in power. She's powerful, but she's not power. She's not in power. Not like Trump is. But you let him skate by with so much. But somebody who is, again, was a junior um, congressman, and again, I get she's the rising star and everything, and she has a very loud voice, and she uses that voice to get convince the people that everything's going to be okay. Just vote for her, and she'll make everything all right. These people, boy, they really get on my freaking nerves. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I know it's real late, and I'm not going to be with y'all very long. So I'm just going to get into what the hell it is I'm talking about, so y'all won't be confused. And I'm gonna have to try to find some way to get it onto the StreamYard, but StreamYard is once again acting up. So I don't know what the hell's going on. Once I get StreamYard working again, then I'm gonna have to stop using my phone. Okay, I'm gonna have to stop using my phone because this holding this up is. I mean, it's cool and everything, but I don't want to be holding it up for the rest of the day. Like, so anyway, everybody's saying the same things over and over again, but then again, they like to try to find things to say that this person is not a good candidate, and Some of them are it's like word salad, but but they're like a political word salad, and then here comes the racism. It's to be expected. It is to be expected, and then of course the jabs. You got to do the whole jabbing thing. So I expect it. And if you ain't got
Program.
haters, you ain't doing shit. So here we
We're
go.
gonna come in with some bloody wood, but then we're like, gotta have a certain type of an intro for the terrestrial stations, and I don't want to bust everybody's eardrums out like it's an Indian metal band because we were going to talk about Islamism, you know, and I'm like, that might be. We're always like, what is a good song to come in with something like that? Because you can only do Rock the Casbah so many times. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, let's have maybe some like Sikh metal. That works. That does the job. Welcome back, though. You can find more stuff over at the newsletter, chapter and verse. Lots of good stuff up there. Lorraine's got some good pieces on RFK Jr. and Maha, and we got Jasmine.
No, but your daddy does.
Crockett up there. Oh, golly, you're gonna have to. Man, you ought to be thanking your Texas friends and family right now because we are going to be dealing with a blizzard of stupidity. Because of this race, this Senate race, it was already dramatic enough, right? Because you have John Cornyn and Ken Paxton, and I like Ken Paxton. He's the AG. You know, I get along with him. He's always been real strong on 2A, and there's certain issues where I'm like, if you're strong, I get very Machiavellian about things. If you're strong on this issue and you're going to rep this issue and you're going to push this issue at a certain level, all right, I can abide that. You know what I mean? And then you got Wesley Hunt, who's not a bad guy either, right? They're in the Republican primary. And then now in the Democrat primary, you've got that, he looks like John Ossoff, Beto O'Rourke. Like, you know how in Hollywood you have Bill Pullman and the Bill Pullman, Bill Paxton, right? I almost said Ben, right? They're both named Bill. Bill Pullman, Bill Pullman.
Weirdo is right. This one looked like a resurrection of Joan Jett. If you don't know who Joan Jett is, please look her up.
Bill Paxton. And you kind of have the same thing with the Democrat Party. I don't know where they get these dudes. Is there like a factory somewhere in Appalachia?
Now, the only reason I'm wasting my time with this some bitch is because she was mainly talking shit about Jasmine Crockett all through her little soliloquy, and some of it was, I mean, most of it was unnecessary, but I'll let her talk.
Where they churn out these like skinny, tight jean wearing eunuchs that come out and they're all, I mean, they're all ridiculous dudes. You can tell they don't even have the muscles to hold a handgun, you know, much less swing a hammer. They can't do a thing. And they're all the same people. The Ossoffs, the Beto O'Rourke's, and now this time.
What up, What up with you, though?
Alarico guy. And so he's running in a primary with, now he's running against Jasmine Crockett, she's redistricted out. She's changed her district, like her seat 3 times now. And she wants to run for Texas Senate. No way is she going to win. But now, as I told you guys in the newsletter, you need to just be a little careful because you've got to give the Republicans some room to try to shoot themselves in the foot because this is what they do every single time. Now, she's going to lose this race. It's the whole point of somebody like her getting involved in this race. I feel like Tallarico was going to get steamrolled anyway. They needed to add some agitation, right? They need to agitate. So who better than Maxine Waters Jr.? You know, who better than Eyelashes McWiggs? Get her in this race. She'll be throwing some bombs. And then you can have Democrats. It works twofold for Democrats. So they can get involved.
Why would she be going after Maxine Waters? Now, I met Maxine Waters a couple of years ago. She is a dear, sweet woman. Now, I don't know anything about her policies and nothing like that, but getting into the whole politics shit, I'll have to I'll have to read into it, but how dare this woman? Like, are we kidding here? Hey, Don.
In this race. They can either endorse her or not, or they can endorse Tallarico. There's a strategy here that at face value, it's very easy to make fun of, but there's something else that's happening. When Wendy Davis ran, and this was back, Kane, like in 2012, 2013, she didn't have a shot in Hades of winning, but that wasn't the point. The point of her running was to register voters and to seed the ground and to build a national mailing list and all of that. That was the point. That was the entire point of it. And that was the same thing with Beto O'Rourke, except I think he didn't get the memo that it really wasn't about him, that there was a lot of other, he was there to do a job, and then he kept running and he never won. This is very similar with Tallarico and with Crockett as well. Tallarico is young enough to where I think no matter what he does, he can probably come back from some sort of, district race maybe. The problem is Democrats have not won a statewide race in a while here. And there's a reason they haven't won, because they're running some pretty crazy candidates. It's the type of candidate that they're running. It's been 1994 since Democrats, that's the last time a Democrat won a statewide office in Texas, was 1994. So it's not going to happen this time either, because this Senate race has been reliably read for a very long time. And even the independents, which determine these races in the margins, they're not going to be bought in on the Jasmine Crockett or James Tallarico. They weren't even bought in on the Colin Allred. Colin Allred, who was a bad, goofy candidate, was still better than Crockett. If you look at what happened in some of these other, like in Nashville, for instance, that Afton Vine or whatever her ditzy name was, Ben, whatever, I don't know, Anthony with a Y. The reason that she was so bad is because the reason why she lost so bad is because she was a bad candidate. Democrats have this thing, they pick these dumb dippy candidates. Not to say that Republicans haven't before either, we have, and I talked about it extensively. But when Democrats pick a bad candidate, they really deuce the bed, man. They really deuce the bed. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, so there's a strategy here. Colin Allred got out of the race, so they're wanting to preserve him. You can't have two eunuchs battle it out and expect to get the agitation that you need to make headlines. So they got to bring in a bomb thrower. So Jasmine Crockett really does not have a road. She's redistricted out. Although technically she could still run in that race, but she's going to be challenged by someone who actually could beat her. So that's why she's not going back in that race. So in Texas state laws, you don't have to live in the district to run in that district. You just have to live in the state. So her district, her address no longer is in the district as it is redrawn. So she could stay there, but there's a Democrat that's going to be running in that seat. And she's not going to be able to, honestly, she won't be able to beat them because they're not as nuts as she is, right? They're at least not as loud about being as nuts.
She has options. She's going to have options. Even if she loses, she's still going to have options. She's still going to have options for getting a specific job in her district. And her district is actually 31 because that's where she lives. It's not in District 30, it's District 31. But let me not tell you that because of how ignorant you sound.
She is. So she's going in this race, not with the goal of winning, but the goal of creating problems, building a national mailing list. And also, what does her presence in this race against a eunuch do? James Tallarico by himself looks ridiculous, does he not? He does, he looks ridiculous. But you already saw them show their cards when they came out with their ads yesterday. So her ad, and I'm not going to play it because they can charge me, or because I'll charge them. If they want that free ad time, they're going to pay for it. But she came out with an ad, and it was just her, and it was Trump talking about her, playing over her. She was like in this Olin Mills photo studio, and then she very slowly turned around as Trump was talking about her, and she looks at the camera, and that's the ad. In the meantime, Tallarico comes down, he's like, well, I'm not going to say anything bad about Jasmine Crockett, and I'm going to, et cetera, run a nice race. So he immediately is staking his claim as the nice, sane Democrat, and she's immediately going out there like, this whole race is not about serving voters, it's going to be about fighting Trump. Whether you're planting now or later, Fast Growing Trees has everything that you need to create your dream of happy and ready to thrive. Look palatable. She's there to build a national mailing list. She's there to massage the desires of the Marxists in the party, the bomb throwers in the party. And she's there to be the crazy that Tallarico doesn't have to be. So they're going to tell him, you just have to seem focused on the voters and focused on the issues. It's bad cop, good cop. That's this whole strategy. And then she can go out there. She'll do, even though she's facing off against him in the primary, she can go out there and agitate. And I don't know if she realizes this is a strategy. She's not the sharpest tool in the shed, but a tool nonetheless. Not the sharpest. I don't know if she realizes that's the strategy, but that's what they're doing. They are using her to make him seem saner. So instead of making him seem sane by his policies and his positions, they're not going to change that crazy Marxist garbage. They're just going to try to compare him to her and be like, well, you could have this. They need her to agitate to turn out the vote. He does not have the charisma to do it. So she's going to be the person doing it. And they'll help him take that primary, and then they'll try to run a more serious race in the general. That's what this is all designed to do. So that's their strategy with this.
Well, people can believe whatever they want to believe. I mean, Jasmine came in with a full mindset that she was going to run. And when she's going to run, she's absolutely going to crush the competition, which there is no competition except for James. But James low-key promoted, kind of low-key promoted Jasmine. This woman is a tool. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, again, you expect people like this to like soft shoe and do a whole bunch of word salad and all this other shit. But as long as people go out and prove these people wrong, I mean, there are multiple people. It's not just her. There's multiple people out there. But I mean, it gets a little slick. It gets a little, you know, uh, come slick shit coming out your mouth, type of shit. But I'll let her continue.
And the fact that Allred got out was a huge sign to me about that. They're like, oh, we're gonna pull you out. We're gonna save you for another time. We're gonna put you back on the bench, and we're just gonna put her out there. I mean, that's it. It's the Stacey Abrams debatable war, the Wendy Davis strategy, running a ridiculous Democrat in an unwinnable race to rebuild and register Democrat voters for future attempts. That's the whole thing. It's like a political war of attrition. That's the whole point. And Talarico and all, they're both ridiculous. Talarico's ridiculous, but he's more palatable to a lot of Texas Democrats than Crockett is. So that's the play. Now, she also wants to run because she wants to raise the money. Don't forget, she's got a $3,000 lien on her luxury Dallas condo, and she refuses to pay it off. Girlfriend needs the money. She needs to keep living in luxury.
Girlfriend needs the money to pay off of her condo. Wow. So it's like I said, black man, black woman can't have nothing. We just can't have anything. It's like, oh, why are you running? You have a $50,000 or $500,000 house or blah 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 blah. And so a black man and a black woman can't have anything. I mean, it's bad enough that Letitia James has to go through what she's going through right now, and possibly can go through it again. Possibly can go through it a third time. She's already been not convicted. She's already been tried twice. Won twice, tried twice. Good morning. So they're trying to pull a Letitia James. I don't get that part. But again, black man, black woman can't have anything, and you're running for a Senate, and you're running for a Senate race. You're running for a seat. You're running for a Senate seat. It's not like you're running for the president of the United States of America. But I'll let her continue.
She needs to keep going and get her nails done and her eyelashes did and her hair done. She's got to be kept in luxury. So she needs gullible donors to continue funding her. So that's it. When you run for these races, so long as you're using the donor money to pay off campaign related expenses, you're in the clear. That's what all this is about. This is the whole move. So she needs the cash. And the Democrats have nothing to lose if they get in and back her. She gets the fame that she wants. She gets the cash to keep her in luxury. And then we're inundated with these asinine campaign stunts. Cut 7. She thinks they've been talking about turning Texas blue. In Colorado, they turned Colorado blue in 2 election cycles. Colorado had been 63 straight years of Republican governance, Republican administration, Republican majority. 2 election cycles, they had operatives turn it blue. They flooded it with Californians. They were able to turn it blue. They even wrote a book about it called The Blueprint. Same people came to Texas to try to recreate it here. Texas is a lot bigger and weirder. Texas, Georgia, and Florida are very weird about their elections, and their politicians. So they are protective of they'll go after their own candidates, their own party candidates. But if you do it, they're going to shiv you. You're going to get it. They tried to turn Texas blue already. They had what is it? Texas Progressive Progress Texas. I can't remember. So many different organizations that have tried this, and they haven't been successful. This was supposed to have been done 10 years ago, and it hasn't been. This is cut 7. Her talking about that. Listen.
Texas turns blue. It won't be because of any one candidate, but because of each and every one of you doing your part.
Mm.
Turning Texas blue is what I want to talk to y'all about today.
Y'all.
Now, there are those that say, ain't no way, we done tried it 50.
You hear the slickness? You hear the slick? Y'all. So we're going to make fun of how Jasmine speaks. Okay. Okay, cool.
Kinds of ways.
Why does she talk?
Let me be clear. Y'all ain't never.
So she's.
Why does she talk like that? Why do black people talk like this? Why do black people talk like that? Why does she have her hair perm like that? Why does she have her hair in a bonnet like that? Why does she have all that makeup? Why does she have this? Why does she have that? Is she married? Does she have a husband?
She came down here to run for office and do all of that. I came down here in 2013, or right around the time she did. Except I have no desire to run for political office. Like I said, I don't want to represent anyone who would dare vote for me. No offense. But because Missouri, and King, you can attest to this, especially in St. Louis where she was growing up, that area is on lock. That's generationally Democrat, and you better be born into certain Democrat circles and certain Democrat families if you want to have a chance at a seat up there. It's not going to happen. So she had to go someplace where she could win. So yeah, that's why I called her a carpetbagger. Some people didn't understand what the hell that was.
A carpetbagger. Huh. Uh-huh. A carpetbagger. Okay. So just because she was born and raised in another state, I'm not from Las Vegas, Nevada. I was born and raised in Lansing, Michigan. And what the hell is that supposed to mean? She obviously went to a particular state, went to school at that particular state, went and got her degree, went and got her lawyer degree or whatever the hell, which is very, very expensive. Only the top, I don't know, like top 50 people can actually get a position like that. I'm not smart enough to be a fucking lawyer or a prosecutor, but it is what it is. The jealousy. But let me finish with this. Once you get successful and graduate, oh, the money is lovely. The money is fucking lovely. And correct me if I'm wrong, isn't Jasmine Crockett a former civil rights attorney?
I'm like, that's if you're coming down to you're trying to find more hospitable political ground so you can make bank and you can have power. That's what that is about. And it was something that they talked about of Northerners post Civil War. So she's it's not going to turn blue. Now, again, I'm not saying that Republicans in Texas can't shoot themselves in the foot, but so far they haven't happened. I wanted to play 14 because this is how she started. God help us all. This is how she started her campaign announcement, guys. Yeah. There's a drum machine.
Never scared and she ain't never been. Who always willing to.
I can't play that because you two might grab me. But y'all get the point.
That's bad. They didn't even give the man use of the prompters. He had to keep checking his notes. Oh my gosh. That's what's in store for us. Pray for us in Texas.
So yeah. I mean, you get people like this, with the mouth moving, but the face is just like like she got like one of those commercials with the mouth just moves and shit. Box Betty. Stop it. So yeah, when it comes to And believe me, Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter who you vote for. When it comes to, it happened with, obviously it happened with Kamala Harris. How many of y'all voted for Kamala Harris last year? How many of y'all voted for Kamala Harris? It happened the same way. So I'm starting to see the pattern. But here's where I told her, or when I did my little messaging, my little rant yesterday, I went on specifically to say you can't do and strategize the same way these people did. You cannot strategize the same way. You got to come out with some other particular form. And of course, the youth is very important. Stick with the youth. Challenge them. Go talk to them. Challenge them. Tell them what you're willing to do for them. Tell them what you're willing to do for the youth. Because the youth is, like I said, the youth is going to be the ones who shape this country. The youth are going to be the ones who shape this future. They're going to be the ones to do it. So you got to be careful with this. We ain't gonna fall for it. I hear FBAs in my head, all in my ear, yada 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 yada. Tangibles, yada 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 yada. Reparations, yada 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 yada. I'm here to tell you, you ain't gonna get no reparations. I already told you that. Tangibles. We get it. She's young. She's 44. There are going to be people in her district, and I think she does travel. She does travel somewhat, but when you get an opportunity to see her, when she announced that she's going to be coming in your city, possibly, maybe challenge her, but don't be rude and just be real with it. Don't be rude. She's not Obama. She ain't gonna ignore you and send you to jail. No, she's gonna talk to you. She is going to talk to you, but come correct. Come correct. It's like I said, I'm stretching this thing out thin because I don't even like politics like that. But it's like I said, there are some people who got me into this, and when I looked at jail, I was like, this could possibly be the one. And when she announced months ago, when people were acting like, nah, the Republican Party was all up in her ear, whoopty whoopty whoop. No, she decided this months in advance, before anybody was in her ear about running for U.S. Senate. So, where was I gonna go? Oh, okay, cool. Of course, you got that, and then you have this Texas is the story, and people say, well, they haven't had a Democratic U.S. senator in about 30, 40 some years. Well, I'm here to tell you, things can change. Things can and will change. Gotta go with this nut job.
To get people out to vote for her, I guess. Now, I remember making a video about Jasmine Crockett a while back, and the whole Negro Army and EBT community came for me in the comment section because I was criticizing her about how ghetto and loud she was. But now I've seen the light. I know better not to come after y'all's queen anymore. And I'm actually in support of her actually running for senator for Texas. I'm just kidding. You already know I don't give a damn about what this
boy in his mama's house. Look at, dude, look at the wall. You got the Justice League poster up there. Is he living in his mama's house?
think about me. Anyways, let's go ahead and roll the film and let's watch this campaign strategy that she's doing. I don't know what she's doing. She has this rapper with her who I have no idea who he is in the first place. And also, he's zesty as hell. That's probably the reason why I don't know who this is. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and roll the film. Gay now? Are they okay? I mean, what is this? What is this? That's one of the most zestiest rapper that I've ever seen. Like, what?
You know what the funny part about this is? Most of these cats, and you got the Terror Twins. I'll show you the Terror Twins in a little bit. You got the Terror Twins who used to be big and muscular. Now they're just broken fat now. You got the you got the Terror Twins like talking shit about Jasmine Crockett and the fact that her supporters are very zesty. I'm like, well, and I started off this way. I was like, so Barack Obama is zesty. Hakeem Jeffries, zesty. James whoever, I forgot what his name was, zesty. Who was I gonna say? Bernie Sanders, zesty. So you mean to Cory Booker? Thank you, Cory Booker. I was about to shout out his name, Cory Booker. Even though he does kind of like whine a little bit, not too much. Zesty. So just because I get it, when y'all was running and y'all had Hulk Hogan up there, let's go, brother, let's go. Is like you thought you was doing something, really? You thought you was really doing something? I get you. I got you.
Hey, anyways, whatever. Like, because I feel like that's the goal for the Democratic Party is to have zesty, feminine men. That's what they want. And masculine, loud ass women. I feel that's the goal for the Democratic Party for America. That's what I feel. These are the talking points that they always use. MAGA supporters are Yahtzees and racist, and then they said they're protecting PDF files. They're talking about the Epstein list, where we found out that it's mostly Democrats that were in bed with Epstein, but nobody want to talk about that. And the fact that y'all in office with old man Joe, y'all in there, you got a dead man walking president, y'all had him in there for 4 years and y'all didn't do nothing with the Epstein list. But now y'all want to talk about it and say, come on, get out of here. And besides, this woman don't know what she's talking about anyway. She embarrassed herself on the Congress floor saying, what's his name? Lee Zeldin took money from Jeffrey Epstein. And he apparently was a different Jeffrey Epstein.
Folks who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, as I had my team dig in very quickly. Mitt Romney, the NRCC, Lee Zeldin, George Bush, Win Red, McCain Palin, Rick Lazio. I just want to be clear. If this is the standard that we're going to make, just know we're going to expose it all. And just know that the FEC filings, they are available for everybody to review.
She said that, it's a 20-minute Google search, whatever. It comes up so fast. And it says occupation physician. That Jeffrey Epstein that she's talking about obviously is not a physician. And then you look at the date and talking about, like common sense, head scratching. The date of the donation is after that Jeffrey Epstein was dead.
Stop it. That I didn't know.
Yes. The donation came in after that Jeffrey Epstein wasn't even alive anymore.
Wow. What an idiot. Oh, what a loser. Just a little research by her team. They could have found out that it was a different Jeffrey Epstein, but they didn't. She just rushed into conclusions. As soon as they saw Jeffrey Epstein, they just jumped on it. And he ended up.
Oh, question. I got a question for these dopes. Are you doing this just because there's possibly some perks involved? You doing this for the money? You're not Republicans. You're not conservatives. Stop it. Stop. Just stop. You're not conservatives. You're only doing this because you're expecting something. I don't know what you're expecting, but you certainly haven't gotten it yet. Could it be, and of course, there's always going to be some excuses, and it always leads back to Joe Biden, which I don't follow that nut job either. But it's kind of ironic, and you can tell me if I'm lying, right? When it's somebody like Jasmine Crockett, for example, who does Marjorie Taylor Greene wrong. I mean, she did her something crazy. And then of course it gets promoted, and I am going to buy the shirt, by the way. Everybody said that they only play that specific clip. They play that specific clip, and then they just played the clip they just played just now. How is it that it's all and the whole Israel thing? Why is it always have to be? Can you debate this woman? Can you challenge this woman? Can you say anything good or find anything good or great about Jasmine? Obviously, you cannot do that because that's not your job to do it. But yet, Donald Trump is the greatest thing since sliced bread. That weirdo. Gilbert Arenas' brother. He broke in the motherfucker, I'll tell you that.
Being not even the person you're talking about.
This night.
People are so full of crap. They're so full of crap. And I don't believe this woman should never, ever, ever be in the national stage. Ever. Ever. She should never be in the national stage. Can you imagine this song like this going and being an ambassador for the United States and going to, what's it called? And going to talk to Vladimir Putin. That ain't happening. Because as soon as she goes over there, it's World War III. All she needs to do is just stay in her district because she makes pretty good content for content creators like myself. So she needs to just stay in her district and deal with them dumbass she's always with over there.
You're a good content creator. My ass. Not with that lame ass post, the Justice League in the back, and it looked like a tore up TV in the back. And your mama's curtains up there. Nah, bruh. Try again.
But I also know the reason why she made this video. She made this video because this is what the people that vote for her in her district, this is what they like. They like stuff like this. She is one of us. She is one of us, girl. She's our queen. She's this. You should go to a comment section and see all the nonsense that people are saying. They're praising her and all that stuff. All dumb in there. Just over there praising her over this nonsense. Or a high IQ person will not. This is not gonna make me come out and vote for you because you're trying to act all cool and yeah, hip hop, the culture. First of all, I ain't into that culture in the first place. I am not into that culture. I'm African as hell. That ain't my culture. But dumbass actually come out and vote for her. They will actually come out and support this person because this is all you have to do to just impress niggas to come out and vote for you. You might not do anything for them, but because you just look cool to them, they'll just come out and vote for you. My man Stacey Prince, like he says it the best.
Not this
Blonde
dude.
butch bodies moving forward.
So let's get this straight. The very same music, culture, and energy that has decimated the Black community, this woman is using as a vehicle to gain support to get into the Senate.
Oh no. Not another wannabe Kevin Samuels. God. Anyway, let's get bored again.
This only speaks volumes about the people who would vote for her if this is where her mind is at. Using the very elements that destroyed our children every day in hopes that it will inspire you to vote for her. You guys don't pay attention to it. That's why people hire Cardi B. That's why people hire Meg Thee Stallion.
It's guys like that. It's guys like that that make certain guys like myself. He's one of the reasons why women are intolerable. Women are intolerable when it comes to men. They do not. If they don't respect men anymore, it's because of that nigga. It's because of that nigga. It ain't because of anything. He makes me look bad. That would be the reason why he makes brothers like me look bad. Thank God I'm in a good space right now. Because I don't think I would even have a shot at being with a woman again. Because of niggas like this. This is the same one that steals red pill talking points. This is the same guy that thinks he's the dude with the ascot. I forgot what his name was. Well, I'll just throw in Kevin Samuels for a while, but it starts with I forgot what his name is. But either way, you got these people from the manosphere, and you got these people just labeled. It's not just Jasmine Crockett. It's women. Period. Black women get a bad rap online. They just do. No, not him. Bad Rabbit, not him, but I'm not. No, not him, but yes, him too. Sank the Sinner, yes, him too. And by the way, he is not Pan-African, nor is he FBA. He is just a nut job, a white man in a black man's body. That's all he is. He is Obsidian. Thank you. That's the guy. Obsidian. With his ascot and everything, just going on and just chilling with the boys. I wonder, is Obsidian married? Does anybody know if is Obsidian married? Because if he is, hopefully it's to a black woman. I do feel sorry for him. I really, really do. Never trust a dude named Chris. Why? If Chris calls the you are the worst. You are the worst. Shout out to you. This isn't the way to do it. This isn't a way to go. No, he said he has a long-term relationship with him. Oh, and hasn't slapped the rent and has the nerve to talk about marriages? And he has a long-standing relationship for that long? I don't know. I guess he puts community first, which is an awesome thing because community does come first. It's not just families. Community comes first. But let me continue.
They think of you. She thinks that if she plays this music for you to support her, she doesn't think that you have the mindset to examine her credentials. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I am tired of this shit. People fishing for us and using bait, anything that's related to hip hop. If you want to impress black people, go get something attached to mediocrity. At this point, this has to be a curse.
I can't add anything to what he said because he already said it all. I'll just end with this. If you vote for this woman, you're an idiot.
I guess we're idiots then. I'm an idiot versus a foolish young man who probably voted for someone who advocates rape. And I'm not going to even get into the videos of Donald Trump. After listening to Donald Trump and his interview with Howard Stern, it really turns my stomach when I heard. You know what I'm saying? And then what makes it worse, what he said about his daughter. And what he mentioned about his daughter. And people say, he was just playing around. You don't play around your kid like that. I don't give a fuck how rich you are, how famous you think you are. You do not play with your child like that. Talking about, if she wasn't my child, I'll have sex with her. Paraphrasing. What is that? This is what white folks get away with. And like I said, if that were me, I would have been hung on a tree somewhere getting my ass whooped. I said it before and I'll say it again. If I ever did that to my child, I will call my father-in-law up and have him meet me over by the church and just beat the living crap out of me. I'll let him do it. Hey, I would have my wife literally look him and say, pull the trigger on that nigga. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And to have Howard Stern get away with what he said, and he said, oh, excuse me, your daughter's a piece of you know what. Excuse me? But in a world that was allegedly 90% white versus 11% black people, 4% Hispanics, I guess you can get away with things like that. When you get this was a sovereign, it was their country before, but now it's like multifaceted, and you have a variety of blacks, Latinos, Asians, Indians, Arabs, you name it. And white folks believe that they are failing, that they are dying off, which they are. Trump's in office. We have the opportunity to take this country back. They have an opportunity to take this country by its knees and get rid of, as Nick Fuentes would put it, get rid of all the the immigrants. Get rid of all the immigrants. Each and every single one of them. Get rid of all the immigrants and get rid of all the blacks. All the blacks need to go to jail. And this world would be much, much safer and much, much quieter and much, much whiter for the white man. Whatever. So, what is Jasmine Crockett talking about? And this probably would be it for me for the night.
I'm joined now by candidate for Senate in Texas, Jasmine Crockett. Thanks so much for joining me.
Absolutely. It's good to see you.
So first off, congratulations on your announcement that you're going to be running for Senate. I want to dive into that race, but I want to tackle some breaking news first. Obviously, there was the tragic killing of Rob Reiner and his wife this weekend in Los Angeles. In the immediate aftermath of that tragedy, Trump had come out and basically posted a screed on Truth Social, saying that he died because of Trump derangement syndrome. He had the opportunity to walk that back, doubled down on his comments. Can I have your reaction to the fact that, in light of a tragic killing of a beloved figure in the entertainment industry, that Trump's initial reaction was to make it about himself and basically just dance over his grave?
Yeah, I really have no words for where we are in this country, and I think that will be a great segue into our conversation about why it is that I'm running for the U.S. Senate. The fact that there are not more people that are disturbed. I mean, this stuff doesn't have to do with partisanship. Like, I don't really even understand the moment that we're in where it is acceptable for any leader in any respect, let alone the President of the United States, after a tragic death, before having any information, and even if you had the information, the idea that you're like, yeah, it's basically because he was anti-MAGA, and it's almost like you're giving a pass for it. Yeah. And it's almost like there's a permission structure that if something happens to you, but you were anti-MAGA, it's okay. This was less than a week after I announced my candidacy. Kind of fan these flames or send these messages that if it's on behalf of this, then it's completely understandable. Like, I don't understand any of the tragic deaths that I have seen, no matter who it is that is dying in an untimely way. And frankly, I still struggle with some things that are technically timely, and ask questions about some of those deaths. And so the fact that this was someone beloved, and beloved or not, I just think it was inappropriate. I think it was an inappropriate thought, and it definitely was inappropriate to go out there and post publicly in this way. And frankly, he just would have been done better by living by the old adage that they tell you when you're a kid: if you don't have anything nice to say, then just don't say anything at all.
There was this whole crusade on the right in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's killing, that the right was going to seek retribution against anybody who uttered an ill word, that people should be fired from their jobs. You had even come out in the immediate aftermath of Charlie Kirk's killing and basically lamented the fact that he died, as did every other elected official, as did all of the major political commentators, whoever it was. And so what does this do to any perceived moral high ground that the right was seeking to achieve in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's death, to have Donald Trump immediately cut out their legs from underneath them?
Well, we know that the hypocrisy abounds. And so I think that this is yet just another example of that. But honestly, besides the hypocrisy, it's just kind of disgusting. I mean, I just can't imagine that anyone, whether you're the president or not, would take this type of moment and let that be the conclusion that you come to. And when you think about, if this is where his head is, think about the very complicated issues that our president has to deal with. And if it's going to boil down to this kind of very simplistic, really concerning type of thought process, I mean, just wonder, it makes me wonder more about, like, where is our country headed and how bad of a shape are we in with him at the helm?
So I want to switch over to your race for the U.S. Senate in Texas. First and foremost, why did you think it was important to run this race?
Yeah, listen, a lot of people don't believe in Texas. We have gotten people's hopes up time and time again. Yep. And for me, to be perfectly honest, this wasn't a race that I was looking at. I wasn't looking at a race to go to the U.S. House. And frankly, I wasn't looking at a race to go to the Texas House when I went. And everyone gets into politics for different reasons and runs for different races for different reasons. But ultimately, I have continued to kind of walk this path that I felt like was more of a calling than anything. So it's definitely not an easy walk. That is for sure. But, I wasn't looking at this. I was sitting in the house. Everything was flowing. I'll say it that way. I won't say it was going great. But being in the house, I've been sitting there, and then the next thing you know, my name was put into a number of polls. Just like different names have been put into the presidential polls. And
if you love Miss Jasmine Crockett, you will go on to change.org, change.org/swear in Jasmine Crockett for U.S. Senate.
And so I then started to look, but I still wasn't really convinced that running for the U.S. Senate was really a good option, because I know that from an infrastructure standpoint, we have not necessarily been in the best position as Democrats. We've not had the investments made, and the state of Texas is a vast state. So I was very concerned that we lacked the organization to really get this done. So I still was like, whatever. And then ultimately, as we started to move somewhere with the maps, I really started to get very frustrated when the president said, hey, we want 5 seats out of Texas. And when the legislature decided to act on that. And when ultimately we were waiting on the lower court to come out with a decision, I was like, whew, I can breathe a little bit, because a Trump appointed justice decided in a 160-page opinion that these maps on the face of them were racially discriminatory, something that I had been arguing the entire time. So I was like, finally, okay, here we go, right?
Yeah.
And then about 4 days before the filing deadline, the Supreme Court said, we're not going to necessarily weigh in on whether or not they are or aren't, but we're not going to allow you guys to stop them from going into effect at this moment. And there had been an interview I did that kind of caught a lot of people's attention. When I was on Sirius XM, I was doing an interview with Loree, and she asked me about the redistricting and Senate. And I said, if they snatch 5 of our House seats, I may have to come and snatch a Senate seat. And from that, people were like, wait a minute, maybe she is serious. And so ultimately, when we look at the power that exists in the House versus the Senate, we can talk about how we want to save democracy. And ultimately, my seat is a safe Democratic seat. And so another Democrat comes and fills that seat. But I thought that we need to run a different race. We have always run candidates that are amazing candidates. They're amazing people. They've got great resumes, but they have no name ID, and these races are already expensive. So by the time we spend all the money to get their name ID up, people are just now learning their name, and we're behind the 8 ball in such a big state. So Colin Allred, who obviously I serve with on the federal level, he was known in the area that he was elected in, but he was not known throughout the state. So he had to do a lot to kind of get known. And so he was behind the 8 ball. Same thing happened with Beto. Beto worked his butt off. I mean, he went to all 254 counties, trying to make sure that people got to know who he was. But here it is. We have an opportunity for a Democrat to enter the race and have their name ID be as high as the person that actually has been elected statewide for almost 30 years. That is a significant advantage that we've never had. In addition to that, when we were looking at internal pollings and trends, because I also wanted to see, can I bring new people into the fold? Because at the end of the day, if we have the same electorate, we can expect the same results. Right. We have to expand the electorate. And so people have wondered, how do you get them expanded? How do you get them involved? But we were asking the questions. If these candidates were on the ballot, would you be more or less inclined to vote? And consistently, we saw a trend that people would be more inclined to vote who typically don't pay attention to politics. So with all these things, we decided to go for it because democracy requires it. And frankly, we know that the Supreme Court needs some oversight, and there's only one body that has oversight over the Supreme Court, and that is the Senate. We know that there's only one body in which justices are confirmed through, and that is the Senate. And as a trained attorney, I think that I can add so much value to listening to people as they're going through the confirmation process.
Unfortunately, George, it's going to be an uphill battle to climb. And can we be 100% real? They don't want a black woman. They don't want a black woman in charge. And we're just talking about the Senate, not the White House. The Senate. Keep it a buck. We're not talking about, ruling the entire world. We're talking about being responsible for one state. It's ridiculous. Just imagine if she did. Just imagine if she did run for president of the United States of America. People would lose their minds, including the brothers here in the United States. Those people who they call FBAs. They will turn into passport bros if she becomes president. You know what? In about a good 4 more years, if we're still here, I hope she does throw her hat in the ring for being for going president for president of the United States. I hope she throws her hat in the ring so I can see the look on each and every single one of their faces. I hope she does.
And being able to ask them very real questions, because I've been in those courtrooms and I know what to look for in a justice.
I think when we see Democrats running in red states, as Texas has shown itself to be, the question I often ask candidates is, what's your plan on getting independents or Republican voters to vote for you, since they have that edge in terms of who their electorate actually is? Are you going for independent or Republican voters? Are you trying to build out a new subset of the electorate that hadn't voted before? I know that I had spoken to Beto in the past, and he's adamant about the fact that Texas is not necessarily a red state, it's a non-voting state. And so I'm just curious, in trying to win this state, which tack are you taking here? Are you trying to reach out to voters who had otherwise cast ballots for Republicans, or are you going to go for a different tack, which is to bring about a new swath of the electorate that hadn't previously come out?
It's a little bit of both, but I will tell you it's more of the people that haven't been talked to than it is going and trying to win over Republicans. And I'm glad that you brought up Beto, because Beto is the last Democrat that came anywhere near clinching one of these statewide seats. And so he thought about adding different people to the mix. Here's the deal. We're not turning away anyone who wants better access to healthcare, education, housing, jobs. We're not turning anybody away, right? But at the same time, where we are making our investments, we're making our investments into those people that haven't been talked to. And the reason is this. Texas has one of the lowest voter turnout in the entire country. We're only turning out approximately 50% of the registered voters. So that means that there's a lot of people that you can still talk to. I mean, only 50% are coming out. That means you got another 50% that you can talk to. And we've not seen excitement. And excitement really matters in races like this. It can't just be enough to be anti-Trump. You got to have people to be excited for something and someone. And I think that that's something that we bring. I will tell you this quick story about a young man who approached one of our state representatives.
That's a good question. What can she offer to the people? Well, everybody talks about tangibles, right? And what are those tangibles? Well, don't expect 40 acres and a mule anytime soon, but you can expect to be in those particular fields that operate in not only a good, solid wage, but health care, and possibly, maybe free schooling. Getting in those getting into the fields. In order to get into the fields, you got to have somebody worthy. You got to have somebody worthy enough and have the balls enough to let the youngins, again, it all goes back to the youngins. I can't stress this enough. The youngins to get into those fields like carpentry, plumbing. We need so many plumbers being vis-a-vis young black, strong young men. I rarely see that now. I rarely see that. Maybe it's because of the city where I'm from right now. But if you look around, All you see, where are most? I want you to put it in the chat. Where are most young black men? Where do you see mostly young black men when it comes to getting jobs? You see them mostly at where? McDonald's, gas stations, Taco Bell. You might see them in a couple of casinos. You might see them do a paper route. You might see them do Uber or Lyft, right? You see DoorDash. You see very few of those electrical jobs. You see very few of those carpentry jobs. You see very few of those. Now, just imagine if one of those brothers are developed long enough to get the money that they need and open up their own establishment, grocery stores, open up the Amazon, yes, open up their own establishment. Now, working at Amazon is a big thing, even though they pay $15 an hour. Can you build generational wealth working at Amazon? No. Can you build generational wealth working at grocery stores? No. Do you see low pay on some? The lowest pay is $15 an hour, not 20. You're lucky if you reach 20. You are lucky if you reach a particular job. But now they want to move goalposts. And pretty soon, most of those jobs I just mentioned are not going to be there anymore. All those particular jobs in Japan, is either Japan or in China or wherever. You go to those McDonald's over there, they got nothing but robots, AI. I said that. Own your exactly. Go own your own establishment and hire those particular young brothers. Yeah, they put your food out there. I mean, it's processed meat anyway. It's processed meat. But let me continue.
In fact, you are probably very familiar with her, Nicole Collier. Nicole Collier is the state representative out of Texas who was locked in the chamber soon after everyone returned from the quorum break this most recent time. Nicole Collier walks into a car wash. There's a guy there that asked her, "Are you planning to vote for Jasmine Crockett?" Because she's running for U.S. Senate. This is like a random conversation. I don't think he knew that she wasn't elected. And she was like, yeah, she's actually my friend. And so she calls me and I said, hey, I'm getting on an elevator. I'll call you right back. I FaceTime her back. And when I FaceTime her back, we're on FaceTime. And I'm like, so, Representative Collier told me that you were asking her about the Senate race. He said, I'm going to tell you right now that I've never paid attention to politics and never cared until you came along. And I am so excited to vote for you. This was a young black man. So I was like, you know what? I said, Nicole, now go tell everybody what you just experienced, because this is the test study. This is my theory of the case, and it's playing out already. The fact is, this was less than a week after I announced my candidacy, and here it was. This gentleman who doesn't pay attention to politics not only knows that I announced, but he knows what I announced for. And he's not only planning on going to vote. I did have to ask him if he was registered. He told me he is. He said he just doesn't vote. And he also was talking to other people without me ever meeting this man a day in my life. That is what it's going to take.
I just want to show you real fast. Let me slide this over.
This McDonald's has 0 employees and is one of the first of its kind fully automated McDonald's. But what's even crazier than the fact that they have no real people working there is that they serve no real food too. This McDonald's has 0 employees and is one of the first of its kind fully automated McDonald's. But what's even crazier than the fact that they have no real people working there is that they serve no real food too. This McDonald's has 0 employees and is one of the first of its kind fully automated McDonald's. But what's even crazier than the fact that they have no real people working there is that So obviously the blessing and the curse of the U.S. Senate race in Texas, this primary, is that we have 2 young, dynamic candidates who are both very popular, both have a lot of juice behind them. And so for people who are deciding between you and James Tallarico in this primary, how do you differentiate yourself from him?
Yeah, so one of the things is experience. Right now, everyone always says we're living in unprecedented times. And James and I worked on the state level together. And so there's a lot that people can look to and understand kind of where he stands when the rubber meets the road when it comes to state issues. But on federal issues, you're pretty much just kind of having to guess and hope. And it's different when you're in the ring. That's number one. Number two, it comes down to kind of a continuation of policies that we worked on, whether it's me working on some of the legislation I worked on for veteran spouses, and military spouses, or whether it's legislation that I worked on as it relates to reproductive access, or whatever the legislation may be. We are put into a stance in which we can kind of continue on our fight and hopefully elevate that fight, whereas Mr. Tallarico, who's not necessarily playing in this world, doesn't have these relationships built just yet to kind of continue to work on certain things. Ultimately, I ended up coming to the federal level. It was voting rights, right? We broke quorum when I was in the state house. It was all about voting rights. So I worked on voting rights legislation, and right now this is going to be so extremely invaluable in this moment. The other point is that we have to have someone that can really attract a diverse coalition, and so it's been demonstrated that we have a real strength as it relates to our diversity within the state. And then the final point I'll make is that I've traveled this country on behalf of other candidates, whether they were national candidates or more so local candidates. And so one of the things that I did when I was trying to figure out whether or not I would run was to see if we were going to get some outside help, because Texas is a big state, it is a big lift. And so we've got assurances from elected officials all over the country, not just within the state, that they are ready to help and get their teams going. And so those are some of the things that we bring to the table, frankly, that no one else could. And I think when you look at something like what happened in California with Prop 50, it seemed like it kind of sailed through. The entire country got behind Prop 50, and everyone was pushing in. That's what we're going to need in Texas. And frankly, before I entered the race, what we saw was that nobody was talking about Texas. No one was really talking about the race. And once I got in, there was just this natural energy, whether it is love or not so much. There was this natural energy that came with my candidacy. And I think that is going to be so helpful in not only moving the state of Texas to make sure that we can send a Democratic senator to the U.S. Senate, but honestly, this is a big deal for the entire country. When we're talking about being able to move some of the most important legislation, the reason we've not been able to do so is because we didn't have the numbers in the Senate, and we've got to change that Senate map. And that's exactly why, literally, I'm putting it all on the line and going in because I believe we can get it done.
All right. Yeah, but like I said, prejudiceness is everywhere. Prejudice will follow this lady until she wins. Even if she wins it, prejudice is going to follow. But guess what? This is what we going to do. We are going to continue to fight. And we're going to continue showing this lady that we are behind her. Now, again, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to get off. The youth are the most important people in America. Not just America, but the entire world, for those who are African, for those who are African descendant. And the people in the United States of America, the black people in the United States of America, they need that voice. And we believe that you are that voice. I want you to go to change.org/swearing Jasmine Crockett for U.S. Senate. And at the same time, this is your boy, We-On-Loc Nation. Go ahead, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Become a member of the We-On-Loc Nation channel. And thank you for chilling out with your boy for a minute. And I'm out.